Hey, today I want to talk to you about shadows, and not the kind that you see outside on the ground, right? Um, it's a different kind of shadow. It's easy to confuse the shadows that we experience in life with the real thing that they're meant to point us to, by forgetting that shadows are really just weaker, incomplete reflections of something else. C.S. Lewis wrote about this in a time in his life that was a very dark hour where he was losing someone that he loved. Keep watching today to hear more. This is another Family Matters moment from Waypoint Church. I hope we can offer you a relevant word of encouragement today for your life and your relationships. God's been showing me lately how everyday experiences and situations can really serve as a reminder and a pointer to His priorities and His truth. And if we genuinely seek to see God's realities in our everyday circumstances, we shouldn't be surprised if God honors that request by opening our own eyes and even the eyes of our children and family. Let me share an example with you today. So my son and I had to talk recently about how this treehouse project we've been working on is not going to end up weatherproof like a real house. He was pointing out all these giant gaps in the wood where wind and water could come through, and well, he's really right. He was focused on a shadow of a real shelter like a house. And I mean, we'd all agree it's better to have gaps in a playhouse than in your real house. He knows that, we all do. A treehouse is for playing, but it's not for living in. It's a shadow. It's a weak and temporary substitute for the real thing. To be frank, it even makes you appreciate the real thing more when when you really need it, when you're seeking that shelter. Last Sunday, Waypoint talked about the ancient cities of refuge and how they served this purpose for people that were running for their lives. But really, those rules were just a shadow that pointed to a greater need and fulfillment that's only available in Jesus. Colossians 2 and Hebrews 10 remind us that God's whole law is really a shadow of the reality that is met, that is fulfilled only in Jesus. Colossians tells us specifically that Jesus is infinitely bigger and better than any rules, any system, culture, even heritage that we may be proud of. Check out Colossians chapter 2, verse 17. It says, "These are a shadow of the things that were to come. The reality, however, is found in Christ." It's easy to get so consumed with the shadows in our lives and the things that we're used to and comfortable with and seeking that we forget they're not meant to truly satisfy. They're not the end. Shadows are made to be pointers to something, to a greater, to an end purpose. So shadows teach us where to assign value and what to truly respect. Things like marriage and family and raising kids, it's super important. It matters. It's serious. But even marriage is a shadow of true union in Christ. If you sometimes feel a dissatisfaction, remember that it's possible to confuse shadows with the real thing. I have done this many times in my life, and I'm prone to it. It'll probably happen again. Shadows are never meant to satisfy our souls, so don't be surprised if it doesn't work. I invite you to pray that your family members would have open eyes that don't mistake shadows of work and activity and sometimes even certain relationships for the real purpose of connecting and serving and giving hope in day-to-day life. There's a principle we read in James chapter 4 that tells us as we draw near to God, He draws near to us. Remember, it's all about relationships with Jesus and with others. Blessing on your family this week. May you May you desire, may you receive eyes that really see and ears that really hear what truly matters, including seeing through shadows. We hope you'll join us this Sunday at 9 a.m. for prayer, 9:45 for streamed service via YouTube. God bless. Have a good week.